Hey y'all, it's Hope from Crafty Hope. I am working on a jewelry project today for once, and I've pulled out these really cool kind of watercolor effect beads from Michaels. They're Hellcraft's Bead Gallery, and they're called the multi-painted glass rondelles. And I just really like that watercolor effect, and I want to put it in a bezel to go with some of these other beads. So I'm experimenting pretty much. I've made a couple of experiments to make this effect, and just really didn't work out the way I wanted. So I'm going to try this one last effect, and if it works, then this video will go up, and if it doesn't, then I'm probably going to keep experimenting. What I've taken is another piece of dictionary paper that I've whitewashed, which is just white acrylic paint and some water mixed together and painted over a piece of dictionary paper so that it just, lightens it down a little bit. And I haven't sealed that or done anything other than that with it. And then I've got an array of Tim Holtz Adirondack alcohol inks, and I've arranged them kind of just in a rainbow order because I put everything in rainbow order. And then I've just got some water off to the side and a really thin paintbrush that I'm going to work with because I wanted it to be a fairly small area. And then I've got just a paper towel off to the side to wipe my brush in my area. And I'm working on a non-stick craft sheet so that I don't get everything all messy, and that way it's non-porous so the alcohol inks don't soak into anything while I'm working. So I'm going to start by just dabbing out one color at a time and putting it on the paper. So as you can see, I've used all of my alcohol ink colors, but I still have quite a bit of white space down here, so I'd like to fill that in some. I don't mind a little bit of white maybe showing in here, but it's more important to me to get as much color on here, and I like the way that they touch all over the beads. I want them to touch and overlap on the paper. So this is a good base, and I'm gonna keep adding colors just kind of where I think they are. So like here there's a lot of blue and green, so I think maybe some of the yellow or the pink might go really well right in there, because I know I've got with my bezel just a really small space to work with. So I'd like to get as many colors bunched in small space as possible. So I'm going to just start, maybe go back to the beginning with my colors and start over again and do it and just fill in where it needs some more color. Okay, so now I've got my colors where they're kind of bleeding into each other some, and it's pretty much enough, some of these clumps are big enough that I think my bezel will cut out really nicely. So I'm going to try to figure out real quick how big my bezel is, and move on from there and get that done. I have taken my piece of altered paper and cut out little squares that are the right size for my bezel. To do that, I took a ruler and just measured in centimeters, and just because centimeters are smaller, measured the back side of my bezel to get a measurement, and then I used some some scrapbook paper because it's a little bit thicker to make a template that I put over different areas of my altered paper to figure out, get those cut out, because I figured once it was cut out and I could look at my little scraps, I would know which one I really liked the most for my bezel. So these are my little pieces. Let's see if I can get them up here. Here's just a couple of them. And I decided I'm going to use this one because it looks a bit like the colors, I think, in my beads the best. It's got that orange and that blue and that green that seems to be so prominent in these fun beads. So I'm going to use that piece. The other ones I'm going to put aside with some of my scraps along with this to use for something else another time. Maybe in my art journaling, maybe in another bezel. But for now, what I'm going to do is take my little piece that I have here and just some Mod Podge. Any kind of sealer will do. This is just glossy Mod Podge, some matte Mod Podge, or even watered down Elmer's glue. Just regular white glue, watered down a little bit, will seal this for your bezel and resin. You want to make sure you coat the front, the back, as well as even the little edges, because if you don't, when you pour your resin into the bezel, it'll seep into your paper and discolor it. Now, if you want that, then that's fine. Don't seal it. But I'd rather keep the integrity of the look I've already got with this piece. So I'm going to do that and then move on and show you how I'm getting it into the bezel. I've sealed my little piece. I'm front and back and sides. And so now I'm just going to take a little bit more of the Mod Podge and put it in the bottom of my bezel, just so that the paper will stick in there. So I'm just, it's dried up a little bit, but I am just laying it down in my bezel. And from there, I've decided which direction I want my piece to go. And so I'm going to put it in there, and I know it's just a tiny bit big with the bezel, but that's fine. I'm just going to push it down in there, some tweezers, and get it just how I want it. And I could use a toothpick or a skewer or whatever, but these are handy. So I'm sticking that right down in there. The light's all crazy, so you can't really see. Let me see. There. So that's down in my bezel, and because of my wonky cutting, you can almost see down at the bottom that some of the metal shows, but that's not a huge deal. So I'm gonna let that sit there for a minute and dry. And in a few minutes, I'll mix up my resin and pour that in there. And it'll take overnight for that to dry. In the meantime, I'll take my beads that I have and wire those up. And hopefully tomorrow I can put the necklace together. As you can see, I have poured my resin in. It's hardened, sat for a couple days. And that connector is all ready. So I've added a crystal drop to it along with my chain of matching beads, and I have a complete necklace that has a pendant that matches the beads. I'm pretty excited about it. Let me see if I can get a little close up for you. huh? All right. Thanks for checking it out.